warmly welcome our next speaker, Antoni Lacinai. How are you, Antoni?
I am fine. Thank you for having me.
Hello, Antoni, from my behalf as well. You also had a story about Jaakko.
I do. I have another story, not the same Jaakko, another Jaakko.
Yeah. Hey, I talk to you later after your speech, and then you're going to be involved in the meet and greet as well. But the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, it's true. I met Jaakko 2015. Another Jaakko then. I was in Örebro, a city which is about 2 hours west from Stockholm. I was there to interview a mental trainer for an upcoming book I was writing. And it was a warm day, just like this. I mean, I don't know if it's warm where you are, but it was a warm summer day, you can say. And I went off the station, off the train, and then all of a sudden a monsoon rain came down, pouring down. And I was running to the hotel quickly, but I was, of course, all soaked and wet and cold when I came to the reception. And I asked them, do you have by any chance a sauna? Because I love to go to a sauna, and perhaps that's why I love you and your country so much. And she said, yes, we have a sauna, and we also have a jacuzzi. Perfect, I said. I went up to the room, took off all my clothes, threw them on the floor, put on my bathing trousers and bathrobe, went down to the sauna, had a good time there, and then I went into the jacuzzi. It was only one person there, not except me, a young man. And I just lowered myself down in the jacuzzi. It was so good. And I closed my eyes for like 5, 10, 15 seconds. And then when I looked up, the other guy looked at me. How can I describe him? This was Jaakko, by the way. How can I describe him? His face, his neck, his arms were stoplight red, like severe sunburned red. But then his shoulder and his torso was pale white, like a vampire almost. And we started to talk. And he told me that he was out on a bicycle ride. I decided to go bicycling. I have 5 weeks of vacation. I will spend the first 4 weeks going about 2,000 kilometers, he said. Wow, what will you do the 5th week? Recover. My butt hurts like crazy right now, and I've just started. We kept talking for a while longer. He said that from Tammerfors to Helsinki it took me 3 days. Then I took the boat to Stockholm. From Stockholm I went a day to Södertälje. And then I went another day to Eskilstuna, cities in Sweden. And then I was supposed to go for a 4-hour bike ride to Örebro, but something happened. I took the wrong turn and I spent 13 hours on the road, he said. And then he smiled and laughed and he said, you know, I ended up on the motorway and somebody called the police and the police came and I actually got the police escort all the way here to the hotel in Örebro. And of course, that was hilarious. But I was talking to him more because I was so interested in all this. Because the book I was writing at the time, I've written 12 books by now, 11 about communication, and then 1 about goal setting and motivation. That's the one I was writing at the time. So I was kind of trying to figure out what motivated him and how he has practiced and prepared and all that. So I said, how long ago did you decide to go on this trip? Well, I turned 30 now, so this was about 3 years ago I decided to do this. And how much have you practiced it? How much have you been biking since then? Almost nothing. What? No, but I play football and I have run actually a full marathon. So I was just thinking, how hard can it be? How hard is it? A bit harder than I thought, he said. So would you have done anything differently? I asked him. If you knew what you know now, if you knew it then, would you have done anything differently? And he kind of paused for a second, thinking, yeah, I probably would have prepared a little bit better. For instance, when I came here, I had to change the tire, and I'd never changed the tire before. So that took me a long time to figure out how to change the tire, and in the meanwhile, I was burning myself in the sun, and 1,000 mosquitoes were trying to eat me up alive, suck all the blood out of me. And I was thinking, you're not a vampire, you are the victim. I see. And we both laughed, of course, for a while. And he said, I'm just going to chill now for the evening, and then I'm going to go on my journey tomorrow again. And we cheered, had some beer, talked a little bit more. he left, I left, and I have never seen him since. I know for a fact that he actually made it through to Denmark and Germany and Poland and back home. I think that was the route he was taking. But even though I never met him, I still kind of have a fond memory of Jaakko. Because Jaakko had this enormous, what can we say, quality of him, a charming energy that young people normally have more than old people. Old people trade his characteristic, his kind of strength for another strength, which we called experience. But the one that Jaakko had was not experience, obviously. It was naivete. Jaakko was naive. How hard can it be? I'll try it. I figure out the solution. I go from there, see what happens. I think in our companies, we should have more people like Jaakko. I mean, we should have people who are experienced as well. It's not a bad thing to be experienced, but we should also have people like Jaakko who should be allowed to try, who should be allowed to fail. Actually, we all should be allowed to fail from time to time. If we don't grow. Take Wayne Gretzky, for instance. He is the best hockey player ever. I think that you actually will agree with me. Wayne Gretzky is the one, right? And I heard that he fell during practice. He fell more times than any other player on the ice. Was he a bad skater? No. He pushed his limits. He knew it would hurt sometimes, even though he had all those kind of bulky protection stuff. But still, he tried at his very limit. He failed by falling, but then he also got better. So for me, courage and naivete are not the same thing, but they accomplish the same thing. People who are naive or courageous do. They act. And they grow by doing it. Let's stop there with the ice hockey thing. Let's continue with the ice hockey thing. I have two sons. I have Elliot and Milton. And when Milton was about 8 years old, I took him and his friend Andreas to the hockey rink. Milton knew how to skate a bit, so he was okay on ice. But Andreas was so scared because he never knew how to go out on the ice without falling, and he held his arms at the rim or at the goal post. And I said, this won't do, we need to do something about it. And I was thinking about Wayne Gretzky. So I said to him, Andreas, your task, if you choose to accept it, doom, 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 is to go around the rink with me, a full circle. And your goal is to fall at least 3 times. I should fall? Yes, at least 3 times. And he just smiled and said, let's go. And we went around the rink. We came back to the starting point and I said, well done, Andreas. But one mistake though, you only fell once. You should fall at least 3 times. Shall we do it again? And he said, yes, let's do it again. And after that half hour or so, he actually knew how to skate well enough to go on the ice. He was courageous. He did something scary, but he knew it was the right thing to do, and therefore he did it. Now, we have a situation right now where we are worried. We are scared. This is an unprecedented time. We don't know how to act in this world, really. And I know, and event companies know, and other people in the travel and conference industry know that many companies decide to just cancel everything and say, we do it later on. This will blow away. We can take it up again in the fall, perhaps, if we're lucky. I don't think that's very brave necessarily. I think that's an act of perhaps being afraid or, not knowing what's to come. Other companies says, you know what? We will do something proper in the fall, but now we will do something at least. And we might not be very good at it. We might fail a couple of times. We might fall a couple of times, but we will learn from it and we will get help from the best of breed companies who can help us with it. Whether it's the event company or a speaker agency, somebody, people around us will help us do this right. And I think that those people who do that are braver because they know that if I fail, if I fall now, I can do it faster and faster and faster, and then I will succeed and I will be in a much better place in the future. So let's learn together, my friends. I am the only one with my name, Antoni Lacinai. So find me on LinkedIn and we can learn together. Or check out antonilacinai.com or talk to my friends at Speaker Forum. Perhaps we can do something together. Now, be more like Andreas, be more courageous, and be more like Jaakko and say, how hard can it be? And if you now think, Antoni, you are so naive, then I only have a one-word response to you. Kiitos. That's exactly what I want to be also in the future. Thank you so much for having me.